It is always a great pleasure for Afghan Ascent to continue flourishing, precisely because of the magnificent, generous, and need I say, supra skills and gifts that some of its musical stellars bring to our program. Consistent with this tradition of high expectations, which continue to be realized quite proficiently by the types of guests that Afghan Ascent has been bringing from Berkeley, tonight, very much like 2 weeks ago, when we enjoyed the musical festivities with Stan Strickland, who incidentally happens to be a good friend, colleague, and working partner of my guest tonight, George W. Russell from Berklee College of Music. Introducing Professor Russell is not an easy undertaking. He has achieved and accomplished so much that although my guests are accustomed to see me introducing my guests without notes, tonight I'm going to break this self-imposed tradition of fluency by introducing him via reading a few things, only a few things, mind you, that I have managed to glean from this array of variations that detail his performances, his plans, so forth and so on, by directly reading it to you. My guest tonight possesses a BS from Dixon University, Dixon University, an MM from New England Conservatory of Music. He's the leader of the George W. Russell Jr. Trio. His performances are with legends, really, and they are legion themselves. He has performed with Stanley Clarke, George Duke, Ernie Isley, Cecil McBee, Samiana McCord, Bob Moses, Tiger Okoshi, Billy Pierce, Richard Smallwood, Stan Strickland, who was my guest 2 weeks ago, who gave us this incredible one-man show, and Lenny White. My guest has also produced some remarkable volumes, including Shikliness, Worship in the Style of G, Communion Volume 1, Communion Volume 2, Sandra Doe and the George W. Russell Jr. Trio, The Pianist and the Poet, and George W. Russell Jr. He was a finalist for the Marshall Solar International Jazz Piano Competition. He is a recipient, was a recipient in 2001 of the New England Conservatory of Music Gospel Music Award. He has served as Minister of Music, Chief Musician for Jubilee, formerly New Covenant Christian Church in Boston for 15 years. He continues to perform his original program, Clap Your Hands, a narrative concert about gospel music in America, in several school systems in Massachusetts under the auspices of Young Audiences of Massachusetts. He was the former chairman of the jazz department at the Pennsylvania Governor's School for the Arts from 1986 to 2008. He's the founder of the Christian Musicians Fellowship of Boston. His awards, which are numerous, include a very intimate award from Berklee College of Music, the Distinguished Faculty Award. He also won the Curriculum Development Award. He also won the Ted Pease Excellence in Teaching Award. These are only fragments of pieces that I have managed to glean from the internet. His achievements are even much more considerable than that. Afghan Ascent is, simply speaking, honored to bring to you Professor Russell for the first time. Welcome to Afghan Ascent.
Thank you very much. I feel very welcome. Although I was sitting here listening to you read all that off, I was wondering, who's he talking about? So, but thank you for being here. I mean, thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure. I have been looking forward to it, and I couldn't believe that it's happening. About 2 weeks ago, I had Stan Strickland as a guest. And in more than one occasion, he spoke highly of you. He even told me, paraphrasing him partially, that he is simply honored and looking forward to perform with you. He has performed with you in the past, and he's looking forward to perform with you again. What is even more, he added, I cannot wait until I learn from him how he does his piano. From what I understand, you are also an extraordinary teacher. Just out of curiosity, I surveyed the internet scene about your teaching performances. And I noticed that in Rate My Professors, for example, I doubt that you check it, but if you do, you must. You scored 5.0 out of 5.0, which is mathematically speaking the highest rate that you could get. And in the commentary section, students write about you from the depth of their heart. 2 or 3 of them went to the extent of saying that you're the best teacher in the world. Of course, that statement calls for justification because it assumes that they know all the teachers in the world and in that they have chosen you at the best. But what is striking is the notes that they make about the kinds of relationships that you manage to develop right in the classroom with the students, not merely as potential vessels of the type of information that you impose on them, but rather as participants and discoverers of what you and them collectively develop.
Without
This
a
is
doubt.
quite a skill.
There's certain synergy in the classroom that happens when you have students who come to the class expecting something good's going to happen. And then their excitement and their enthusiasm and their expectation level just creates this wonderful synergy, this wonderful, all the wonderful possibilities that exist. And that's what happens in my classes. You know, the students, incidentally, I tell the students on the first day, welcome to your favorite class. This is your favorite class. And then I ask them, do you know why this is your favorite class? And normally they, oh, well, we don't know. I tell them, it's your favorite class because I'm the best teacher in the whole wide world. I tell them that. I'm the best teacher in the whole wide world. There's been talk about the universe, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. So, of course, I'm just teasing. And so right away we get off to a good start, And really, to me, teaching is just a vehicle that I use to love people. And the students feel that. They feel that. They feel that this is a person that's interested in teaching them the information, but is also interested in them as a person also. So teaching to me is just a vehicle that I use to love people. So, and I love to love people, and I love music, and I love teaching, so it's all right there. I was telling you earlier, I feel like I live a dream. I get a chance to make a living doing what I love to do and impact the life of a lot of people around me.
Mm-hmm. So it's remarkable that I and you, as colleagues at Berkeley, share a similar pleasure. We think that we are at a dream place and doing our dream work.
Yeah, I totally agree. Berkeley there's at any given time 4,000 to 5,000 people on campus who all have very, very similar goals, and a lot of very, very gifted and talented people too. And there's not a day that doesn't go by where I don't walk away being inspired by a faculty member, by a staff member, or by a student. There's not one day I don't walk through those doors and walk away more inspired.
How large are your classes?
Most of my classes are 15 to 16 people.
Students also notice that once you manage to know your students' names, that you never forget them for the rest of their stay at Berklee College of Music, long after the semester is over. When you encounter them on the streets, you encounter them not merely as the students whom you have had in any number of your classes, but as human beings
Definitely.
whom you know and you know very well. Is that a skill that you have developed over years of teaching, or is it some kind of gift that you have?
Well, I think it's the only gift is that I really desire to want to be there for my students. But that's the first thing I do. I learn the student's name. The first day, I spend the first, say, 15 or 20 minutes learning everyone's name. And most times I remember their names throughout their whole career at Berklee. And I think it's important because if you're able to address a student by their name, you know, right away there's a barrier that goes down and there's an openness that happens. So I think it's vital. I think it's important. And I don't know whether or not it's a gift. I just think it's something that I think is important, so I work at it.
And how sensitive are you to human appearances, by which I mean to race, gender in the classroom? What kind of role do these appearances play in your mind?
They really don't play much in my mind because I try to treat every student, no matter who you are, special. There's very often a place in my heart for students of color, I will admit, because you know, in my experience, oftentimes they don't quite have the support systems in place. So I will tend to lean over backwards. But I do that with all my students. You know, I have a slight, maybe a slight more sensitivity to the students of color.
Why?
Because I'm a student of color, and I know what it took to get to where I am, and I knew some of the obstacles and challenges that I had to face. So there may be a little bit back there, but really, you know, everybody's pretty much the same.
And to reverse it, to look at it from the student's eyes, how sensitive do you think are our students to our skin color?
I think initially, you know, at first it may, I've learned that the students these days aren't as caught up in the color of skin as we are in our generation. But so they're a lot more open. It's not as much a big deal for them. So yeah, that's I feel pretty strongly about that. Students don't seem to be bothered by color as much, and at least that's what I'm sensing when I'm in a classroom. But in my classes, it's really a non-issue, you know, because that's not why we're there. And on the same token, I have no problems making fun or making light of different cultures and different people all the time, but they know it comes from a good place, from a place of love. So it works out just nicely.
And that's also partly why I have learned why you so successfully insert a sense of humor to the art of teaching. Students describe you as fun, as nice,
Right.
humorous.
Yeah, I think it's important. You know, I teach harmony, which is not always the favorite subject of most students. And just my personality in general, infuse a little bit of humor into the things that I do, and particularly when I'm in the classroom. And so that's always there. You know, there's always a little joke, a little sarcasm. It's almost like you're a jazz musician. You're taking the vibe of the room and you're just creating on the spot.
I see.
And that's where the humor comes from. It comes from the vibe between the students. It comes from some of the information that I use to teach and share. But anything to get them to remember the information, you know. And if you're smiling, if you're singing, those two things help you remember information. You know, a good joke, something that just, you know, perks you up just a little bit. So.
And have this sense, without any empirical grounding, that you have always wanted to be a musician, perhaps a pianist even.
I started piano lessons when I was 7 years old. So I've always knew that I was going to be a musician. And up until I was 14, it was either music or baseball. I loved sports because I played sports throughout my younger years. And when I was 15, I had to make a decision to go to a performing arts high school or to go to my regular high school where there was a baseball team. And I chose to go to performing arts high school.
And now I want to read to my audience what you wrote in the bio section, which I really enjoyed. I could have summarized it, but I want the writing to speak for itself. And I want us to talk about this for the rest of the interview. I make a point of developing a relationship with each and every student in my classes. I learn everybody's names the first day. After that, there isn't a class that goes by where I am not talking to every student, whether it's hello, how are you, or talking about class material. I mix in a little humor. I share a bit about myself and what I'm going through. I try to make it very personal. Then students can open up to receive the harmony package I'm trying to sell them. It's not the easiest subject to buy. It is all analysis. I try to teach it in a way that is compelling so that students understand the application of it in their own performance. Now comes the theoretical part, which is fascinating. Music is harmony and melody. It is like a vocabulary. Without a vocabulary, it is difficult to speak. You can do it, but it sounds like you don't know what you're saying. As a player myself, knowing harmonic theory gives me a lot of security. I know 2 + 2 = 4. I don't have to guess. I don't have to guess. Music is harmony and melody. It is like a vocabulary. Without a vocabulary, it is difficult to speak. Perhaps we can elaborate on that.
Well, you know, harmony, what is harmony? It's basically how chords are structured, you know. That's what harmony is. How is it structured? And if you understand how chords are structured, how they're used, how they're typically used, your ability to understand what's going on increases tremendously. And you don't have to guess. You know, you can play in every key because you know how everything's put together. Whereas if you didn't know, then maybe you might end up playing in 1 or 2 or 3 keys, and it would take you a whole lot longer to figure things out. if you didn't know what you were, if you didn't understand the harmony. So that's what I meant by that. And having just an understanding of how it all fits together, it just, like I said there, it gives me as a player all the confidence in the world, because I know that, like I said, 2 + 2 = 4. That F minor 7 chord is going to be F minor 7 chord. And if I moved it to F sharp, use the same voicings, F sharp minor 7 or G minor 7. So that's what I mean by that.
I wonder what you think of this. This is a subject for an extensive discussion in the future. But just this afternoon, while I was teaching Plato's Republic, most particularly Book 3, towards the end, there is a reference to harmony in which Plato argues that the producer, in this instance, the musician, must himself have a harmonious soul in order to produce a harmonic music.
Well, the harmony I was talking about and the harmony that you were talking about were two different harmonies. Mm-hmm. You know, for someone to have a harmonious soul doesn't have anything to do with like how chords are put together. However, if one does have a harmonious soul and they're playing music, you can definitely feel it, because music comes right from the soul, you know. So I don't know if I answered your question.
I think you did. I wouldn't be surprised if Plato, who was a poet and a great admirer of music, might have not also been thinking about harmonious chords and then insist that the harmonious chords could become harmonious only and only if the musician himself has a harmonious soul.
I would agree with that.
That, I think, is where he's heading.
I would definitely agree with that.
As I said, we will pursue these abstractions in the future.
Okay.
For now, I just wanted to touch the base, and I'm very happy that I asked the question because you verified what Plato is arguing.
Well, that's good to know. Me and Plato are on the same line, same wavelength.
It's remarkable. That's what I learned. We're about to go on a break now. And we have about 2 minutes left before we go on a break. Is there anything about music that you would like to say to these thousands of viewers that I have?
Music teaching and music?
This is what I'll say about teaching and music. Break it in any way you want.
Teaching and music, both of them allow me to do what I love to do. And I love to love people. And I use teaching and music as a vehicle to do that. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I was telling you before, I feel like I live a dream life. I'm the richest man in the world. I don't have any money, but I'm the richest man in the world.
I have also learned vicariously that you have great kids whom you love, a great wife,
yes,
great kids, great family.
Definitely.
And you speak so highly of them. This by itself is also, morally speaking, very moving.
Thank you. Thank you. They make me rich too. They make me very rich. I'm a very, very fortunate person.
And it's remarkable that you recognize the fact that they make you very rich.
Without
Most
a doubt.
of us don't. We take these gifts for granted. African Ascent will now be going on a break, and I invite my viewers to stay tuned, to stay with us, and enjoy great music by great musicians.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now.
No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite.
Unearth hidden passion.
Come on, we'll have a good time.
Plant seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic.
Change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall.
And make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Well, we're back, and I'm going to play a couple pieces for you. The first one is one of my favorite jazz pieces. It's called Stella by Starlight. Thank you, sir. I think I'm going to do something now. I wrote a few years ago. It's a couple excerpts from a suite that I wrote for my family called the Family Suite. And this first one is I wrote for my dad. It's called Waltz for Pop. Thank you very much, sir. Well, I'd like to do another piece from that suite, and this one I wrote for my mother. It's called Something for Sandra. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to do one more for you. I think we have time for one more. Yes? I'm going to do another standard called Someday My Prince Will Come. Thank you very much. I think we only have a couple more minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and play a little blues for you. Okay. Let me see. What else could I play? You have a request? Tetros? No? I'll play, let me see. Here's Satin Doll by Duke Ellington.
Wow. What a great pleasure for Afghan Ascent. What I just witnessed, Professor Russell, confirms what students have been openly talking about you. They say you're one of the greatest pianists in the world, not just one of the greatest teachers in the world, but also one of the greatest pianists in the world. And I personally learned as well that both Harvard and Berkeley rarely make a mistake in recruiting the truly best. I thank you.
It's been a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me.